What's up, guys? This is Trilos International, and we are back for yet another transfer roundup. This is transfer roundup number 6. My God, I cannot wait for this to be over, Martial.
Yeah, you're
But
right.
we had almost nothing to talk about, and then about 30 minutes before recording, we now have a lot to talk about. So we're going to get right into it, guys. But before we do, don't forget to like and subscribe. We find new red and white members every day. This channel, this project continues to grow. And don't forget to check out our content on Patreon. Patreon, we do extra content. We go outside the realm of Olympiacos and we talk to executives like Katia Koksenoglu, the CEO of Atromiros, which is a very nice interview that we got. We talk to other executives, players, journalists. So consider supporting us on Patreon. You can join the Patreon WhatsApp group for $1 a month, where we also share a lot of information. And quite frankly, it's a little bit of a chaotic situation, but it's fun. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. Now, on to the transfers, Martial. We've got quite a bit to talk about, so let's get through it. First things first for today, we have a potential exit for Biancon. There are rumors that could be on his way to Italy. Do you have anything you would like to say about that?
No, but it makes sense because, as I remember correctly, the Biancon's name was linked to with a European team like weeks ago. I think it was on Gazzetta, maybe. They basically said that he had an offer from an team abroad. Biancon is a name that has quite a value on the market. I don't know exactly how much money we could get on him, but he has a name. He's still young. He has a French passport, so it's probably wanted on the market. And I'm not sure it will be a starter. He probably understood maybe he wouldn't be a key player because Red Sauce is over him, even if Red Sauce is injured now. So the fact that we're looking at a center back probably means that Biancon's time has ended here. Let's see.
Yep, and
No,
we'll see what happens.
yeah,
We'll see what happens with that. Hopefully, I like to believe that Kutsivis will also still be included this year as well, and whatever person that we bring in is just to help provide some additional support. But my preference would be to see Kutsivis get maybe some more of those
yeah.
minutes, but we'll see what happens. The next transfer list, there was a lot of talk about Forest's interest and offer for Eduardo Bove from AS Roma in Italy. Now, of course, anytime there's transfer interest between Roma and Olympiacos, it's very, very tasty because Lina Suluku, our former general director, is the CEO of Roma, and she has been in charge of what has been a pretty significant change there. She's done a lot, and she has a lot more control over Roma than she did at Olympiacos. So it is very believable that whatever deal is going on at Roma for Forest could have impacted Olympiacos. But our sources tell us that this is not an Olympiacos thing. This is specifically for Forest, and most likely because of the injury to Danilo. Martial, anything you would like to comment on that?
No, you're probably right about the fact that he's going to play for Nottingham, but I think the Nottingham link to Olympiacos probably, in my opinion, looks like to be used with Lyon, the French club, because the Olympiacos fan probably aren't aware that Lyon put two players to Nottingham this summer,
Right.
and Marinakis created very strong ties with John Textor, the owner of Lyon, that is soon to be the owner of Everton. And the name of Nuama, the winger of Lyon, was linked to Nottingham in French press today. And I'm not saying it's going to Olympiacos, but the thing is, I think something is going to happen between Lyon and Nottingham. And the question is, will it be a link that will go to Olympiacos at the end, or will those players remain at Nottingham? It's to be seen, but it's something that we have in mind because the relationship that Textor now has with Marinakis is no coincidence. We know multi ownership now at Olympiacos, and you know that it's no coincidence when a player is linked with Nottingham because you don't know where he can end up at the end. Depending on the profile, it could be Nottingham, could be Olympiacos, could be Rio Ave at the end if it's a younger profile. So let's see, because Lyon needs to sell like urgently. They have 3 days to sell as much as they can. So it's to have in mind.
Absolutely. And the important thing also to remember, guys, is that you can only loan 3 players from one club to another club in a season. So we've already been loaned 2 players now from Forest because Carmo is a loan from Forest and Stamenic was a loan from Forest as well. So whatever we do next, that is the last thing that we can do to use Forest as a vehicle for a transfer. So just remember that. Now, coming up next is really what kind of has blown up social media, and that is it was a tweet from Rudy Gaetti, who spoke on a transfer negotiations between Al Shabab, Saudi Arabian club, and Wolves for Daniel Podence are advanced and that they're close. So this situation, we were told by multiple sources that it's not as close as he made it seem. Regardless of whether the player has agreed or has not, we've had very conflicting talk about whether or not Podence actually does want to go to Saudi Arabia or not on both ends. But there's always been this level of interest from Al Shabab. And as things stand, they're not much different than they were a couple of weeks ago. Now, that doesn't mean that a move can't happen. The Saudis could decide that they want to spend the money and make him move fast. But right now, they're not meeting the 10 million. And the situation hasn't changed with respect to anything yet. It could progress, but it's not as close as the post from Gaetti makes it seem.
Yeah, no, it's this situation is like I don't. I need to find an adjective that would suit more the Podence saga, because basically we all experience every behavior that is possible. Either is joy, hope, sadness,
Yep.
anger, frustration. Uh, I think the word will be frustration, because it's lost time over the whole summer, and thank God we didn't had any qualifiers to play, because I don't think I mean the saga with Podence, all the qualifiers would have been like dramatic. Uh, so yeah, I don't really know what to say, because it's difficult to get the a clear picture of Potence's wishes. Like, everyone is tempted about Saudi Arabia. It's just a matter of money at the end.
Yeah, it really is. And then, for me right now, this is like the same. I don't know. I see this as the same as I saw the rumors people were freaking out about with the 6 million offer that Olympiacos made. That was not a real thing. We were told by our sources that right to now there has not been an official proposal by Olympiacos. We don't know if there was any proposal by Forest. We don't know what the discussions are like. But the fact that there is no official proposal does not mean that the owners aren't talking, or that the Olympiacos and Wolves aren't talking in that respect. So we just know there's been no official proposal, and we've been told at this point that the Saudi advanced talks are not quite as advanced as they seem. So we'll see what happens from that. There was also, the what makes this a little bit also, Martial, a little bit, I don't want to say sketchy, but touchy, is the fact that there are reports that Olympiacos is already in an advanced negotiation with both a winger and an attacking-minded midfielder. Now, if Podence is not the option, you have to wonder what those other options are. And, we know Horta probably is not happening, even though the door is open for that. It's never been clarified what the two players are. And then there was the interest from Turkey. There recently, the sporting director from Galatasaray had brought up that Darko Kovacevic, our sporting director, had asked about 2 players, a Turkish player and then Wilfred Zaha. So Olympiacos clearly is looking at alternative options in case they can't get the job done with Podence. But what do you think? What do you make of the Galatasaray interest?
My first guess would be like it does not spell good at all with Potenze. That's personal opinion, because even if Galetti does not look like the most reliable journalist, because those Mercato journalists, if I can say that, like, it's part of the job to feed information every day, every hour, every minute. So about the amount of information they share, surely some moves won't happen. But the thing is, it probably has some Saudi sources because he broke some news before about the Saudi right back that went to AS Roma. So I believe he has Saudi sources, and I think it doesn't smell good for Olympiacos over Podence. And also, if you read between the lines on Greek press, because over the years I got used to that. When you read articles, you basically have to read between the lines, and if the article of Sport 24 means that the club is looking for the players, is if they don't quote Podence's name, it means it's not Podence. It's so I don't exactly know where to position myself on that. And this call of Kovacevic to Galatasaray makes sense because it's basically how you do the work at the end of the mercato. You call sports director and you ask them, do you have player that you need to offload? How much it cost? What's the demand of the wage, etc., etc. And it's an information and it's not an information both at the same time. It does not mean we are getting a player from Galatasaray, but we're evaluating the market, I think. Uh,
Right.
and then we have a list of plan A, plan B, plan C. Yeah, I think we would go crazy as fans if we had to spend a day or two in the club like Olympiacos over the deadline day. The amount of
Yeah.
calls, texts, uh, not emails because I don't work with emails, but the amount of calls and texts you probably see would be crazy.
Yeah.
I'm
The
basically lost. Like that's my answer. I'm quite lost. I'm curious, anxious, uh, not happy, but I'm curious positively to see what will come out of it.
Yeah, I think me too. I mean, right now it's, it's the deadline transfer craze. This time of the year, like it's the unknown with the transfers. You have the hope of a new season, the wonder of what could happen, what players you could bring in. In a way, like this period is more followed and generates more drama and buzz than the actual season does. The transfer chaos produces this entertainment that the season does not produce. And it's why things get so intense, and in a way, like a lot of our things get more activity because of the transfer window than anything else. But anyway, I digress. It's the situation with Podence is a domino that will then, if that does not happen, if the Podence situation happens, we will see dominoes fall and other things happen. I'm sure of it. Whether it's players from Turkey, I believe the club has options that it's waiting for in the event that Podence does not actually come to Olympiacos. We know that there's probably a sticking point with his wage. I would believe 100% that he's asking for 3 million euro a season, which was reported about a week ago.
Oh,
And I believe that the club does not want to give 3 million euros a season. I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just pointing out that these are the situations. I mean,
uh,
guys, watch the Carapapas interview. You may not like it, but you may not like the things that he's saying, but you will get a much better understanding of how we are approaching this transfer window if you listen to that interview. It makes
uh,
sense. Again, I'm not saying I agree with it. I'm not saying I wouldn't pay Podence 3 million a season. I'm just pointing out that this is the way things are.
the,
And
no,
that's just how it is.
you're very right because we only saw the Pudense's return over the potential fee we had to pay to Wolves, but no one basically mentioned the wage. Like
Right.
surely Pudense wanted a raise at Olympiacos compared to what he got last season on loan.
Yep.
It makes sense. That's negotiation. But if he goes to Saudi Arabia at the end of it, it means that that's the only place he can get the wage he's asking for. That's no harder than that. Like there is the fee, of course. I will see. We'll see the fee if it goes to Saudi Arabia, but the salary, the wage, of course, will be higher than he could have got to Olympiacos.
Right.
I think
Absolutely.
that's the X factor in there, the wage.
Yep. And then, who knows? I mean, we expected that we could only finance as Olympiacos one deal, right, between Carmo and Podence. But I don't know necessarily if we could even support the Podence transfer if we're also trying to make moves for other players. I'm making assumptions based on what we've seen with the financial movements, but we don't know exactly what the financial situation is to a cent, to a dollar, or to a euro, I should say. So there's a lot of things that go into it. I know people don't like to hear that, but it's going to be a crazy deadline. And don't forget, guys, don't forget the deadline for the top leagues is August 31st. However, the Greek league in the past, the very recent past, extended the Greek transfer deadline. Our deadline is September 11th. Now, we have to have our players in for the European list before September 4th, but this buys us an extra couple of days. So just remember that. I know you guys hate when we say this, but a little bit of patience is needed. Let's see what happens. And I promise you, we will talk about the transfers once it's done. We will evaluate the roster, and then we can have the complaining, the grinya from you guys. So let's try to have some patience, at least until the deadline.
Yeah.
The deal, the what's being done by the club now, the business that's going to be done, or that has been done at this point, is different than other seasons. It's more measured, it's more calculated. So let's see what happens.
Oh yeah, that's the motto of the summer for me. Let's see what happened, because we saw what happened last season too. Won the Conference League, won the Youth League. We haven't lost any key player from the Youth League squad. We lost some key players from the
Right.
first team squad, but it happens.
Yep.
That's football.
That's football. Exactly. So look, guys, and I know people are going to get upset. You know, people are going to say, why, my Nike's isn't spending this, spending that. Let's have some patience. All right. Relax. See what happens. We know how Olympiacos is. We know that we do so much business during the deadline week. And that will be the case that will be the case again this year. This is nothing different and nothing that we're not used to. So every day we'll give you the news as it comes. We're going to explain to you what we know and what is logical. And this is it. So since Podence is the big thing, it's not over. He's right. He is not close to going to Saudi Arabia yet, but he's also not yet close to coming to Olympiacos. Let's wait and see what happens. A lot can happen in a couple of days. And don't forget, we're still looking for a left back. And if Biancon leaves, Olympiacos is also looking for a center back as well.
Yeah, because the Biancon stuff probably end up with that. Biancon stuff also means that sales are possible. Like, because you said
right.
everything can happen, but it's also on the way out of Olympiacos.
Exactly. So that's about all the transfer news we have here. Martial, unless you have anything else you wanted to include before we go ahead and sign off.
No, not yet. Not yet.
So
It's
stay tuned.
only 5 p.m. here, so
That's true. Things could still be reported. We could get our midnight Nikos Kotsis. You never know what's going to happen. So, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us continue to grow the red and white community. There's a lot of stuff happening and a lot of stuff that will continue to happen here. We promised you big things, and big things are coming. More interviews, and the project is getting bigger and bigger. We're getting noticed by bigger and bigger things. So just keep an eye out. Follow us on socials as well. If you're listening on podcast audio, leave us a 5-star review. And as always, guys, this is Thedos International by the fans for the fans. And we'll see you tomorrow for the next daily transfer roundup.